Um, Coming off the weekend, overall pretty productive weekend. I thought in our play, I thought we were disappointed not to bring that hardware back from Friday night. Certainly to lose the shootout. I thought we had opportunities in that shootout to win. I thought Taro just. I don't know if he lost the puck, went off the end of his stick or what, but thought he had a really nice move. I thought Kordarenko had a real nice move, and the puck kind of slipped away from him. And usually when you leave those kinds of opportunities on the table, it comes up and bites you, and it did, and them scoring the goal to win the shootout. I liked the way we started the game. I didn't like the 2 goals we gave up in the first period. That's why I changed goalies. And I thought for as well as we played, to come in at the end of the first period tied was disappointing, and I could sense that in our team. So I give our team a lot of credit for kind of scratching and clawing, overcoming that emotional letdown, and then fighting back. I thought their team played a real good game that night, and so I would have really liked to win that game. I thought, one thing I didn't mention there, but I thought we had a great Michigan State crowd at Joe Louis. Like it was a great turnout by Michigan State people. It I know impacted our players, and we all noted it. So we were very appreciative of that. And then coming out of that, I was concerned a little bit about our emotional level going into Yost on Saturday night. I was real concerned about it because I know guys put a lot of emphasis on that Friday game. It didn't. The shootout, even though it's kind of a coin flip, it still feels like a loss, even though technically you tied the game. And so I know our guys were down about not bringing that hardware back and not winning even the shootout, and sending our a real good Michigan State crowd home, feeling good about it. So I was worried about it Saturday, and yet I thought guys came out really strong, played very strong emotionally. I thought we executed our game plan to a little better degree than we did the night before, and made it difficult for Michigan to really get something going. So, the good news was we got a good result. I'm still stewing internally over giving up that goal with 9 seconds left. I'd have loved to get a shutout in that game and get Johnny his first college win with a shutout. And also, that was a power play goal. So I thought we made some nice steps with our penalty kill, and so in the end, that becomes a power play goal. So I gotta. What do they say? Let it be, right? Let it be. That was Paul McCartney's mother used to tell him, "Let it be." So that's where the song came from. Yeah. So I got to let that be, but I did tell our team there's been a lot of great Michigan State teams since 1989, and this is the first team that's been able to get in there and win both games on the road at Yost. So that was a good accomplishment for this particular team. We play Ohio State. This is the start of obviously a challenging stretch with 4 against Ohio State, 2 at Minnesota, and 2 with Penn State. All of which are real good teams. I think all of which continue to be in the top 5 in the country offensively. All of which have very good power plays, and so we'll be tested. And the one area that to me we have to continue to get better at is defending, whether it's shorthanded situations or certainly even strength situations. We've got to get better at keeping the puck out of our net. So while we did a decent job of that last weekend, we're going to be tested to a very high level starting this week, moving forward the remainder of the year. So we've got to continue to up our game there. We've got to get consistency in goal, have to keep the puck out of our net. We've got to stop the shots that we're expected to shot or stop, and we need to make some big saves when we need it. And then 5-on-5, we've got to be good defensively and limit quality chances, and our penalty kill is going to have to be good. And I think if we do all those things, the offense will take care of itself. But that's where our focus will be. So with that,
Not trying to be a smart aleck here, But with
So what are you trying to be?
well, hear me out.
Okay.
With all the things you have to fret about this year, why are you obsessed with giving up a goal in a 4-1 victory?
That's a great question.
Thank you.
I'm trying to figure out I guess that's just my, yeah, it's just, I guess I wrestled with that situation. Part of it is I wrestled with my decision as to, our two of our best penalty killers are Cox and Ebbing. And yet Thomas was having a tough night that night taking face-offs. So whatever there was, 12 seconds left or whatever, I was wrestling with, do I go with these two guys who I know, really block shots, can defend, or we got to get that face-off? And we didn't get the face-off. So it kind of sits with me that, maybe I should have went in a different direction. Did it impact the game? No. You're right. But I guess it's just my obsessive way to fret about something that maybe I should just let it be.
The current that set up that power play or the penalty, the face-off in your own zone. Penalties.
Yeah, I saw things differently, So again, did it impact the outcome of the game? No, it didn't. But for our team, we're trying to build on any success that we can have. And so, any coach would like to be in a building and not give the opposition a chance to cheer, or to get excited about. So your team ends on the high. And so, that's part of it. You're trying to gain some momentum, gain some confidence, have little successes that can build towards something bigger. And it's just giving up a goal. Didn't affect the game, but I'm pretty sure to a man, every guy on the team would have liked to finish that game without giving up a goal against. And that would have been 2 games consecutively there, the same thing. Not to mention, in Johnny's case, a shutout. It was Ed's first shutout. The previous game, it would have been nice, but so, is that enough babble to answer that question?
So Minnie was benched after the first period for the second time in the last 4 games and has replaced for Letherman, and he's now seen action in every game over the past 4 games. Would you consider there to be a strong goaltender competition now?
Well, there's competition for sure, yeah.
Has there always been?
I think there's always been competition. Yeah, it's not like that there's, I think, in Johnny's case, he's been trying to elevate his game and adapt his game to this level from his previous level and build some confidence. I think in Ed's case, he's trying to elevate his game from being a backup to trying to, play on a consistent basis. So to me, there's always been competition from day one. And, we're at a point where we need consistency across the board in our game and certainly in goal. And every night when we put a lineup together, it's all about who do we think is going to give us the best chance to win that game. So I think that competition will continue through the end of the season.
But Ed is not totally healthy, right?
He's battled an injury. He should be healthy now. I don't think that's an issue. But I think in time leading up to some of those games you're referring to in recent times, he didn't have enough practice time. He didn't. So, really playing him was based on that he was given the clean bill of health. I wouldn't play him if he wasn't healthy. Didn't have as much practice and preparation time as I would have liked, and maybe that's had some impact on performance. But he was healthy. He was healthy to play.
Is there a different mindset that you have now going into each game now with that goaltender situation, whereas the beginning of the season you let up 2 goals, okay, we'll keep Minnie in, but now it seems like near the end of the season it's kind of like a change of pace where you let up 2 goals and then you kind of reverse and go for another option, just kind of.
Well, I think it's not so much about giving up 2 goals. It's the kind of goals that you give up, and you want the goals to be difficult goals, not just from a goalie's perspective, but even from the team's perspective. So I think you assess that kind of as you go. Thank you. You assess that as you go. My expectation for the goaltenders is to give us a chance to win every night. And so what that means, in essence, is stop the pucks that you should stop, and we're going to need some key saves at key moments that we never know when that may come. Hopefully there's not as many as on some nights, but that's really what consistency in goaltending is all about. So we're looking for consistency in our game, and one piece of that game is in the net. And if it takes two goalies to do that, that's what we'll do. If it takes one goalie to do that, if one goalie's capable of doing it, that's what we'll do too. But we're looking for that consistency. I think Johnny right now has shown an increase in his confidence level. So that's positive for him. I think at the same time, having competition is a healthy thing for both of those guys, because they know every day in practice they got to push each other to make themselves better and get themselves ready to play consistently when they're called upon to play. So,
Coach, you mentioned earlier that you were a little concerned how your team would come out in Yost, and they came out with what some would argue was a near dominating performance. Do you see that as a sign of a growing, consistent level of compete with your team, something you've been wanting to see for most of the year?
what I do see from it for sure is a resiliency that I admire. We've had our share of disappointments and struggles throughout the year, and yet here we are in February, coming off of a game that I know guys were disappointed in the outcome, and I thought really responded. So I was quite impressed with the resiliency of the team. I think from a consistency standpoint, that continues to be a focus of our team, and it's necessary for us to be able to have success. Any team, you have to be awfully talented to be able to be inconsistent and win. So for us, that's eluded us. That level of consistency has eluded us all year, and hopefully we've gained some experience, we've gained some confidence. We've been playing over some injuries, we've been banged up a little bit, and other guys have had opportunities to come in. I think all of those things are a good sign, and yet it's that level of consistency that we need throughout our game to be able to give us a chance to have success every night. So I'm hopeful guys left there feeling that, hey, we played a darn good game in most every area, and we know what it takes to have success. And even if you play well all night long, that doesn't always result in a win, but at least if you can control your consistency in every phase of your game, you give yourself the best chance. And so I think this team has been learning that and has a better understanding today than probably 4 or 6 or 8 weeks ago of who we are and what we need to do to play well and to give us ourselves that chance to have success.
Tom, you've had some really good road victories, obviously, North Dakota, 2 at Michigan, Big Rapids at Fair State. Why do you think that hasn't translated into home victories and playing better at home for the home fans?
Boy, that's a great question. I wish I could figure that out, because that one eats at me. You want people who come here to leave feeling good, and we've just struggled to deliver that. And yeah, that one really eats at me. So I wish I had that answer and could just turn the switch, because I know guys care about it. And at one point I talked a lot about it, how important it was to own your own home, and then I'm thinking maybe it's getting in our heads, so I don't want to overemphasize it, and so I don't know what that answer is at this stage of the game. But again, maybe it's just a part of that inconsistency, but it's important. It's important to win at home. It's important to play hard at home and be hard to play against at home, and we've got to become better at that.
I'm a football coach who had a team once going nowhere. I just stuck with me. Said, in challenging his team, said, you got to find a reason to play. Play for yourself, play for your pride, play for your mother, play for your girlfriend. Find a reason to play. So with you sitting in last place and every team making the playoffs, what's left to play for?
there's a lot left to play for. We've already talked about that for our team. One is you're a competitor. You want to keep getting better, and so that's on the most simplistic basis. So you come to this rink every day, you see those guys, togetherness, commitment, work habits. They're not anything that we have to spend a lot of time concerning ourselves with, because that's all. It's all there. It's all in. You play for your next game. That's important. You play to win your next game, and so I know our team has been focusing on that. At this stage of the game, we're playing to try to better our position. So you focus on the team ahead of you, and once we already talked about this. Once we achieve that and get over that, we start focusing on the team ahead of them. Happens to be the team that we're playing now. So it's kind of a double whammy opportunity to make progress. And then in the end, when it's all said and done, regardless of how your season has gone, the ups, the downs, whether you have more ups or downs, on both sides, if you don't win the right game, you can have a great season. If you don't win the right games at the end of the season, your season comes to an end. If you have a season that you really struggle, but you play your best hockey at the end of the season, at the right times, win the right games, your season continues. So that's the beauty of the college hockey structure, is you just keep playing, and you keep playing as long as you can play, or until somebody tells you, you can't play anymore, because you still have a chance. So in our structure, in all likelihood, we would have to win 3 games to win the Big Ten tournament, regardless of where we end up in the standings at this point. And if you do that, you get to extend your season. It's just 3 games. Is that an easy thing to do? Well, no, but it's just 3 games. It's not you have to go win 3 series, best of 7. And in our sport, that's happened. So I think that always gives you hope. I think with I told you I wouldn't say young, but with our type of group that's gained so much experience, I think they're gaining confidence, especially when you can have some success. So I think this group continues to be as eager to play as they have all season long, and believes what I just said.
It sounds like you don't have to challenge them or motivate them.
Oh, I think that's always a piece of the equation. I don't take motivation for granted. I think, especially during the dog days of winter, like we're very conscious of that. Like our practices, we're shortening our practices. We gave guys yesterday off because at this stage of the game, I'm not questioning our physical conditioning. Our physical conditioning is excellent. We came out of the weekend banged up a little bit, so guys needed a little bit of time to heal. But I think right up here is where you need to be when it's dark outside, when you haven't seen the sun in weeks, when exams are piling up, and things intensify. All of those things are part of the college athlete's weekly routine, and it affects performance. They're not just hockey players. So we do have to take into consideration all those sorts of things. I know some guys had some huge exams over the past 2 weeks that were very demanding, that caused them to stay up way later in their preparation for those exams than they typically would if they were just preparing to play hockey. So those are real life things that we do consider and try to manage. And with as many freshmen playing as meaningful minutes as we have, those guys are going through it the first go-around. So it's not like you're an upperclassman and you kind of been through it and you have the experience and understanding how to manage it. So that's a first go-around that guys are getting their arms around too. So,
Coach, it seems that ever since the Big Ten has formed, you guys have had some really important games against Ohio State. They've eliminated you twice from the Big Ten tournament. You look in the other sports around campus, every time basketball plays Ohio State or football plays Ohio State, it's a big, almost rivalry game. So I ask you, is there a blooming rivalry in hockey between Michigan State and Ohio State, do you think?
well, we certainly had lots of close games together, and you're right. There's been some critical games, whether they're tournament games or games for placement in the standings down the stretch, and there's been a lot of close ones. So I don't know what the definition of a rivalry necessarily would be, but there's certainly plenty of intensity. It's a Big Ten game. It's an athletic department that's very well respected throughout the country. Hockey-wise, they have a real good team, and they're playing real well. So we look at it just as importantly as any other game that we'd play.
What about Ohio State as far as what's dangerous about them?
They have an excellent power play. Their power play has been very dynamic. They can score in bunches. They've been a very good offensive team on a very consistent basis. I think they have depth in their lineup right now that probably more so than they've had the last several years. And I know sometimes their goaltending has been maybe up or down. Against us, it's been very consistent. I think they have a real good team. They're scoring big numbers, and they've done that very consistently. So the way they score, they're really never out of a game, even if they give a number of goals up.
Yeah, one area where Ohio State seems vulnerable is on the penalty kill. Their PK unit is only operating at 73.3%. So how important is it going to be for you guys to take advantage of your man advantage situations?
I think special teams will be an important factor, and our ultimate goal will be to try to stay out of the box so their power play opportunities are limited, and we're going to have to do a darn good job when they do get opportunities. And then on the other side, we need to have success scoring, and so we think we're capable of doing that. But we've got to execute and find the back of the net, and every time you play, you want to try to win special teams, and this would be no different. True story.